So in this one, what we're going to do is just use the depth of field. What I've done is, well, the first thing that you'll want to do is you import your images. I'm going to drag them onto the timeline. I have a front view and I have a top view. I'm going to enable 3D by clicking on the little box in the timeline. Then what I'm going to do is actually put my images quite a bit apart. Now, remember, you don't need to use the canvas. I can pull those right off the canvas if I want. I'll bring it forward so I have these two images and there's quite a bit of distance between them. I'll pop one up. I'll pop the Internet Explorer one up just a bit so you can see it. And you can see what I'm going to do here. Okay, so the way you do this is you go up to Layer, New. I'm going to add a camera. Now I can add a 50mm lens, which is fairly standard, or I can add an 80mm or 135mm lens, which is more of a portrait lens, so you get like a cowboy shot from the chest up. It's going to be much more focused and it's going to have a compressed background. The big thing that you're going to want to do is enable depth of field, and that is going to allow you to narrow in on your focus. I'm going to hit OK. We'll just leave everything else the same. Now if I select my camera and I look at it, I'm going to drop down this menu in the timeline. The biggest thing that I'm going to, well, there's really three things that I'm going to pay attention to. One is my focus distance. The other is my aperture. And the third thing is my blur level. So if you move the focus distance, like you'll notice that it will actually you have this little pink sort of indicator in the middle, and that's the relative area where you're going to be focusing. Now if I increase my aperture, you're going to notice slowly that it's blurring in the background, and that's simply narrowing my depth of field. Now I can increase my blur level, and that's just an added sort of tool that you can do to control the bokeh, or the background blur. It's called bokeh. It's a Japanese word, and it's for blur quality. But that's it essentially, and you can set keyframes with that. You can pull focus. Of course, if you bring the aperture back down, you're going to have a wider depth of field. So that's it, depth of field. Enjoy.